India's campaign in the Women's Asia Cup. It wasn't the best showing, but there were a lot of promising signs.
The passion of the players. Having been through the system and been through everything that a women footballer faces and the challenges that we face, it's purely, I feel, about the grit and resilience of the players that we were able to get there.
Was Manisha Kalyan the biggest positive from the Indian campaign?
She was one of the biggest positives, yes, 100%. But it was also exciting to see some of the youngsters who were stepping up, who were given the opportunity, who made the most of it.
On Amelia Valverde becoming coach, getting the team qualified for this tournament, and then you install a new manager just 8 weeks, 2 months before the tournament starts. Is that more destabilizing for a team?
I think there were a lot of technical reasons also. The coach who was leading, Mr. Crispin Chetri, did not have the pro license, so he could not officially be the head coach. So that was one of the reasons. But maybe the other reason is that they thought someone more experienced, who's taken the team to this level.
Hi Aditi, thanks for joining and giving your time as we assess India's campaign in the Women's Asia Cup. It wasn't the best showing, but there were a lot of promising signs. What are your takeaways?
I think the fact that we qualified and the way we qualified on merit after about 20 over 20 years means that there's so much talent, and we were able to reach there because of the dedication, the passion of the players, you know. Having been through the system and been through everything that a women footballer faces and the challenges that we face, it's purely, I feel, about the grit and resilience of the players that we were able to get there. And obviously, the things could have gone better. We were unlucky as well in certain situations during the matches, but I think taking the positives out of it is that we deserve to be there. There are, you know, realistic possibilities of the women's national team qualifying for the World Cup fairly quickly.
Manisha Kalyan's strike is something that everyone will sit up and take notice. If our viewers haven't seen that goal, that is one of the goals of the tournament, a free kick.
I do see it and vote for a goal as well. She's been
Yeah,
nominated
yeah,
as one of the
definitely.
best by AFC, so make sure
Yeah.
you vote.
As a goalkeeper, as a former goalkeeper yourself, how do you actually save it?
Honestly, no, I don't think so because it came so quickly that by the time you blink your eye, it was inside the post or it hit the post and bounced inside. So you could see it live also. The keeper could barely react. It was hit so purely and with so much venom that I don't think it was possible to get anywhere close to it, to be honest.
Was Manisha Kalyan the biggest positive from the Indian campaign?
She was one of the biggest positives, yes, 100%. But it was also exciting to see some of the youngsters who were stepping up, who were given the opportunity, who made the most of it. And that's what I feel is the biggest takeaway, that the future is bright. If we can get the things in order and provide the right infrastructure that's needed, like I said, that vision, that dream of the World Cup is possible.
Also, talk about, I mean, Japan game was sort of, I mean, it highlighted the gulf that exists between the where we are now and the actually the top level of women's football in the continent. What do you take away from that game? That the gulf is huge.
Just reminding or just bring back some of the recent results. Right now, the Gulf Sea looks of 11 goals, but few years back when India played AFC qualifiers against Japan under coach Thomas, the scoreline was 7-0, and this was like recent few years ago. So the gap has increased, and that's where we need to ask questions of why that has happened. We were getting closer. It felt like we were getting closer, but then we've obviously taken a few steps back. That's where I feel we need to ask ourselves the question of why that's happened.
Yeah, so as someone who's been part of the system, and the last time we spoke, it was up about a few years back, where the IWL was struggling to get off the ground. Still, right now, the same issues persist. The friendlies that we were supposed to have played before the tournament either did not take place or were against weaker sides or against amateur players. That is an issue. As a player, what do you make of it?
I agree. Like for to participate and to actually, we were dreaming of qualifying for the World Cup this time. To actually get to that, you have to be realistic with the plans in action as well. And I agree that we should have prepared better. We could have prepared better. And for that, the league plays a very, very important role. Of course, along with international exposure, because even the IWL right now, I don't think the level is equivalent to what the level is at international circuit, or when you're playing against other countries. So there's definitely that gap even in our professional league. That's why that for foreign exposures and more competitive matches, not friendlies but actually participating in tournaments, because there you build a different mentality, a different, getting into the zone, really taking the pressure, taking up the responsibility of playing in a tournament is different than playing friendlies. So the way we prepare is also extremely important. But the first step is the league, then comes the international exposure.
Okay. About the Japan game itself, do you think that was in terms of the gaps that we are talking about? Obviously, there are multiple factors, but is that a tactical gap that still needs to be bridged? Is there a structural gap, or both?
All, all of the above, because we don't really have a school system like Japan does, where the same style of play or philosophy of football is followed throughout the entire system from grassroots to elite football. That's where you build champions, and of course the league is competitive. They've not been able to figure it out for a couple of times. They took some time as well to figure out the right model to operate sustainably. And finally, they have a lot of the, obviously, most of the first 11 or entire Japanese team was playing mostly in UK or in the US or European countries. So there's directly no comparison at any level. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done structurally, financially, infrastructure wise, everything.
One thing that obviously was damaging was the players receiving ill fitting kits before the tournament. 2 days before, when India played their first game, did they get the kits, the actual sizes of the kits? How frustrating is it for a player that the administration is not as well equipped, or as maybe disinterested is the right word, I
Well,
guess?
this is obviously, as a player, if I have to imagine, it is not the best thing for anyone when you're preparing mentally. There's so many other factors that play a part in getting the team and the players focused. So when you have these things happening, batch day -1, -2 is obviously distracting. But honestly, I feel like there's so much of other distractions as well. And this is something that I think AFF has answered or needs to be questioned, and that needs to be figured out why that happened, honestly, and how could that happen when you know when the league is, when the matches are. But it will be also interesting to get the views of the players who were actually present there, what they felt and how was the situation over there, and what actually happened, like, because I have no idea of what actually happened and why the wrong sizes were sent over. So that'll be interesting to get more information on.
So as of right now, as things stand, AI have initiated sort of investigation into the whole fiasco. There will be an independent probe about whether the vendor was at problem, whether that was a manufacturing issue. That is from what the IFF are doing now. As far as the players are concerned, the players wrote in their email to the IFF that matchday -2 they've not received the kits that they are going to use in the tournament. That is the situation as it stands. Is there something that demotivates a player more than just noticing a situation like this?
I mean, there can be more things that can be more distracting, but this is obviously, like I said, one of the distractions that you wouldn't want when you're playing a
Hmm.
tournament, when you have important matches, especially the first match being one of the most important matches. If you get off to a good start, earn those 3 points, you're in a comfortable position. So yeah, like I said, it is distracting for sure. But there were other factors also which I felt played a part in not securing a decent finish out of the group.
What would be those factors, if you can share it?
One of the things that we've obviously spoken about is the preparation. The right preparation was needed. You also have to have consistency and stability at the leadership. Coach coming in 1 month prior, I don't know how much impact can that have on the team and its preparation. And of course, this was another an added factor that played a part as well. So there are multiple factors, and it needs to be broken down. There has to be more investigation into it. More, I feel, questions and media should also play a part in getting accountability for this kind of result. I feel that there are a lot of answers that could come out.
I was going to come to that on Amelia Valverde becoming coach. The appointment came in January. I think she had 8 weeks to sort of gel with the players, to sort of get her system going. Even though you have a team which was doing a decent job getting the team qualified for this tournament, and then you install a new manager just 8 weeks, 2 months before the tournament starts. Is that just, rather than providing any sort of consistency, is that more destabilizing for a team?
I think there were a lot of technical reasons also. The coach who was leading, Mr. Crispin Chetri, was did not have the pro license, so he could not officially be the head coach. So that was one of the reasons. But maybe the other reason is that they thought someone more experienced, who's taken the team to this level before, might add more value. So I don't know what the thought process behind that was. Obviously, not like I was consulted or anything. I don't know what the real reason was, but I feel like it's good to have foreign coaches leading and for the Indian coaches to learn from their experience. But yes, there has to be consistency, some time given to actually for the coach to actually implement their ideas and philosophy. So a little more time, I feel, could have been helpful.
If you look at the passage forward, if you look at way forward from here, would you continue with the current scheme of things, with the current coaching staff, with Valverde as well? Because that is one of the considerations to extend her contract with the Indian team.
I would have done a thorough investigation if I was there. I mean, to really figure out all the answers, like I said, really decode everything that break down everything that happened, everything that led up to that event, and really interview, ask questions of the people who were part of the process to learn more of the ground reality situation, and certainly learned from that and implemented things in a from a more informed position. Yeah, and of course be using my experience, whether it was as a player, as a sports management professional, or someone who's working or contributing in the ecosystem. Yeah, I probably would have taken a different approach.
In terms of just also looking at how we go from here, what immediate reforms are required to ensure that we actually qualify for the World Cup?
See, I've spoken about this multiple times. I feel the league system has to be professional. It has to, go on throughout the year, at least like 6 to 7 months minimum. More competitive matches and better salaries, so that this becomes a livelihood and the players can 100% dedicate themselves to this and create that supportive ecosystem. I think there are a lot of gaps, a lot of holes in the system right now, with the league being stopped for and being played over two halves. So a lot of things that obviously you also have to incorporate it by as you go, because there are multiple factors playing a part and so many different stakeholders being involved. But there has to be a long term vision and approach and implementation plan in place. You can't just randomly think ki, abhi, have random plans ki, let's do this and that. I think there has to be a better plan in place for women's football if we realistically want to look at qualifying for the World Cup. Starting from the grassroots level to the elite development pathway, league plays an important role. And then how do you develop that young players quota, a pool of players that can work at the age group level, but also then progress as with experience to the senior level, while also maintaining a competitive
Yeah.
environment in the team.
Lastly, I want to ask, we are stressing a lot on having a robust league system, but one of the standout players is someone who does not play in the country. Does it make more sense, or does it make more competitive sense that a player goes out and plays a football in countries other than India just to sort of get an exposure that you don't get here.
Both of it. The top players who are good enough should 100% go abroad because, like I said, the standard of IWL is not really up to the mark of the international standard when we play countries. So when you get that, if you get that experience, if they get that opportunity to play abroad in a more competitive environment, of course, choose that. That will 100% help you grow. That's happened with me from my personal experience. The most I learned was during my time at West Ham. But for the rest of the pool who might not be at that level to play internationally, they still need to have developed themselves at in domestic league, which is professional, and they can dedicate and learn and improve.
All right. Thank you so much, Aditi, for giving your time. Those are the questions I had in mind.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks.
Tanuj.